Live from the Pitch Pad in New York City. Get ready to unleash your inner entrepreneur with Pitch Live with Amy Summers. Whether you're a seasoned entrepreneur or just dipping your toes into the Shark Tank, this is the place to be to discover how to turn your pitch into reality. Fasten your seatbelts, pitch stars, because the spotlight is on you and we are about to make success happen. Get ready for Pitch Live in 3, 2, 1. Welcome to Pitch Live. I'm your host, Amy Summers, founder and president of Pitch Publicity and Vox. I'm also a hardworking entrepreneur who is passionate about helping you reach success in any area of your life. And I know that's possible after decades of experience of perfecting the pitch and enhancing communication skills, which is why I'm here today and joined by Kylie Morgan, who is a former and forever pitch star, having interned with us at Pitch Publicity in the spring and summer of 2017. And she worked 2 full years with us, ending in summer of 2019. During the time that Kylie worked with us, we had quite a diverse group of campaigns. And she, looking back now, Kylie, on everything that I assigned you, I was like, oh my gosh, I can't believe I gave her that much work. I mean, we were really busy during that time. I was like, she did that campaign and that campaign. I think you did everything from like consumer to B2B, like to really, difficult to pitch.
Yeah, I got into everything, so it was awesome.
You even helped me on an event early on. I remember that in the first year. And you came to New York a couple times and got to work on our event here. And fast forward today, Kylie is currently serving as senior account executive at the Lou Hammond Group. It's a public relations agency specializing in lifestyle, travel, real estate, and tech, where she is still securing client coverage in national print, digital, and broadcast outlets. I was so happy to see that on your LinkedIn, and I'm like, oh, good, she's still doing what she was doing.
Yes, the same thing.
So welcome, Kylie. I'm excited to talk about your experience at Pitch Publicity, but also jump into how you're using all your pitching skills in your career today to make success happen, or as we call it, MSH. So let's just get into it. And I want to go back and start when we first met, which was during our interview at the University of Florida. And I remember that you were preparing to graduate with a degree in English, but had chosen to stay in school to pursue a master's degree in public relations. And so many of our people that watch Pitch Live podcasts or in our audience are college students. And this is actually a common question that I receive from them. Can you share with us why you opted to stay in school and get your master's degree before going into your career? And how did you land on public relations?
Yeah, so thank you so much for having me on the Pitch Live podcast, Amy. I'm so excited to be here. So I decided to get my bachelor's in English because I always loved writing, and I had no idea what public relations was before I started college. And then I think it was my junior year, I decided to do a mass communications minor. So that gave me an intro into public relations, advertising, journalism. And I was immediately drawn to public relations the most just because it combined the writing that I loved with some strategy and creative process. And I was really interested in the variety and the excitement of the field. So since that was junior year, I knew I didn't really have time to change my major by that point. So I really wanted to just learn more about PR because it's such like a multifaceted field. So I decided to pursue my master's. And so that was a 2-year program with UF, and I was able to do it online. So I thought if I could get the internship with Pitch and do that at the same time, that would give me more than enough, experience before jumping full into my career.
Now that you are in your career, do you feel like you made the right choice to stay in school and get that master's degree?
Yeah, I'm really glad I did it. For me, it just allowed me to really begin my career with more confidence and more knowledge of public relations. But at the same time, I don't think it's necessary at all for everyone. Like nothing beats the real experience and having an internship opportunities. So if, people are deciding, I would definitely make interning the first priority. And then if you want to pursue the master's or look into, additional classes, then that's always a great option too.
Was it difficult when after you were done interning with us and then you were full into your job search? Was it difficult initially having that master's degree on your resume? Did people look at that and say, "Oh, like we don't want to give her that much money, or she's too educated"?
Yeah. It was a little bit difficult to find a PR specific role, especially being in Tampa when the market is smaller compared to a city like New York. There aren't a ton of PR opportunities. And I would say the master's degree, it helped a little bit. People were definitely interested because it's kind of uncommon to have a master's in PR, I feel like. Um, but while that was great, I think they were mostly interested in my internship experience because, that's kind of what we touched on the most in my interviews was like the real experience that I had. And I think with PR, you have to have such specific skills and wear many hats. So coming into my career, people were impressed that I had that, real hands-on experience with actually pitching and interacting with media on a day-to-day basis. And that's something that you just can't really get that type of experience when you're in school. So I think the internship really made such a difference with me finding a job. And I don't know if I would have, had as many opportunities right off the bat if I didn't have an internship.
What do you remember any specific? I know I threw you right into pitching, and then I dragged you
Oh,
to
yes.
the event. But do you remember anything specifically that you're still utilizing today in your career that was something that you learned during the internship at Pitch Publicity?
Yeah. So I remember the first day I basically was pitching media and I was so nervous because I'd never done it before, but it was such a great way to kind of get out in front of everything. And I feel like that is pretty rare for interns to have, interactions with media and be working like that right off the bat. So I think the most important thing I learned was kind of the art of media relations because I do it every day and I'm interacting with media. And then at the same time, how to just craft a like very compelling pitch that gets the audience's attention. I remember, you would have me draft my first pitches, and the first few probably weren't amazing because I had no idea what I was doing. But then I kind of got the hang of it and, realized that these journalists and editors and producers that I'm emailing, they're getting 500 emails a day. So you really have to stand out and be persistent about it. It's not just like you're sending off emails. So that's something big that I learned, and also targeting the right media, doing the research beforehand. I remember we would do a bunch of research when we had like the medical clients about flu season and stuff and kind of tying it into current events. So just how important that is too.
Having that news hook, that strong news hook really
Yeah.
helped.
Yes.
I remember distinctly in your internship with Pitch Publicity, we had a client that was putting a ton of pressure on us to score national exposure. And you ended up securing a feature for their children's dietary supplement and fast company. Do you remember that?
Yes, I will never forget that. That was so exciting. Definitely my first like big national placement. So that was just such a highlight for me because there's nothing like seeing that coverage come through when you've worked for months on end to secure that coverage.
Can you walk us through how you MSH made that happen? Do you remember the
Yes.
steps? Okay.
Yes, I do. So I remember we kind of were pinpointing this one writer who we thought would be just great for the client just based on their past work. So I did all the research and kind of compiled what they've written about before. I'd seen that they never had covered our clients. So it was a lot of persistence, reaching out to them, calling and emailing, but also being very personable and not, trying to get them to just be interested in our story because I knew that they would. So just starting the conversation, crafting a really personalized pitch, and then just being really persistent from there. And I know it took, I don't even remember how long it took, probably a few months before, we got their attention, a few follow-ups. booking the interview, and you just have to stay really consistent with it. But it is a delicate balance of being personable, but just kind of keeping on them because they are so busy and they're probably working on 5 other stories at the same time. So I'll never forget when we booked that interview. I was so excited. And then obviously when the coverage came out, the client was thrilled. So there's nothing better than that.
Yeah, that I remember that now. This particular writer at Fast Company, she actually covered um products in this
Yeah.
category of like supplements. And so that was why our client was so insistent that they wanted to
Yes.
Fast Company, and because they saw this column that she wrote all the time, which always puts pressure much more on us when
Yeah.
clients see that. They think it's so easy. They're like, well, they write about it every month, why are we not featured? And so we really had to target her. But I think that just goes to really knowing who you're pitching, and journalists always say this, but it's true. Read the publication, watch the show, know what you're pitching. If you're pitching Drew Barrymore's show, watch the show so you know what her style is, and who her regular guests are already, so that you can figure out how to
Exactly.
fit in your person. Because if you're just going in there blind, you can definitely get ignored or shut down.
Yeah, and it does take a little more work in the back end, but I think it definitely pays off because that's how you get their attention, and that's how you get these, national stories that your clients love.
Yeah, I remember one time early on, in the pitch years, I had this client, and I had gotten the executive producer of Fox News on, and I was pitching this health topic, and they were authors, and there was also a supplement involved, and I was pitching this, and I had this scientist that was very knowledgeable, and that's who I was pitching. I remember the executive producer told me, well, Fox News, we only cover very serious things, and I'm not sure that we want to do this grapefruit topic about losing weight. And I had just watched Fox News that morning, and I saw that they had the Dallas Cowgirl cheerleaders on. So I said to him, "Oh, is that why you had the Dallas Cowgirl cheerleaders on?" Because that didn't look very serious to me. And he laughed, and then he ended up booking it. So it's a situation where I actually
Yeah.
called him out, which was brave. But knowing, like actually watching, I remember watching Fox News, Fox and Friends that morning, because I wanted to make sure that I was on target of what I was pitching. And at
Yeah.
the end, it was funny because he did book my scientist and the author, but then I threw in there that we were going to bring grapefruit girls to pass out grapefruit on the Avenue of Americas. And he totally went for that, probably because they had the cheerleaders on. So
Yeah, it's all about, getting their attention. And sometimes you do have to call them out a little bit, and they'll be like, oh, that is a great idea, actually.
yeah,
So,
because they're assuming that we're not reading or watching, which is a great assumption because most PR people aren't. We're just trying to like go through our list and get our clients coverage and not do that research step that we were all taught to do. It is part of the research step. We've got to research them.
exactly. And I think I get, the most success when I am referencing, past segments or stories that someone has written, just because it does show a little bit of like, hey, I'm not just blindly pitching. I know what you're covering, and I really think you'd be interested in this. So,
And I think the tools are getting better. Previously we just had media databases. I mean,
Mhm.
way back in the olden days, we had books of media contacts, which you never had to do. But, I think the media databases are getting better. We just switched to one that actually shows you what their last tweets were, like all on the page. It makes it super easy. We don't have to go source it,
Yeah.
and even articles that they've written. So I think that because it's right there, and especially when the media database is curating that information, it really does um, make a difference to take the time and look at it.
Yes, it does. And we have the same thing with our media database. And you can instantly see, their past coverage and what they're interested in and their bio. So it's kind of like with everything available now, you don't really have an excuse not to look into it a little bit. Yeah, you can look at their Twitter, even their Instagram sometimes. Like I
Mhm.
just keep on people all the time.
Follow them. I mean, I used to never follow journalists because that's weird, but now I do because I'm like, I want them to recognize my name when I want to like all their things and help them boost their profile. And then when my name pops up for a pitch, I want them to feel like it's someone that they sort of know.
Exactly. You just have to stand out a little bit because there's so many PR people out there probably trying to pitch them. And if they know you and they know you've interacted with them before, it just increases your chances of, standing out.
Now, so let's jump to the event that you worked on. We were working with Desire Street Ministries. This is Danny Warhol's nonprofit. Danny Warhol is a former Heisman Trophy winner from the University of Florida, where Kylie and I both went to school. And I brought you in to handle his media event. You had been pitching for months on the phone. We were, of course, in a remote setting. We'll get to that in a little bit. I want to talk to you about remote work too, but then I brought you into this event, and we were in Ponte Vedra, and it was a golf event, and you were lining up all these media interviews. What did that experience of actually been meeting journalists in person, did that change your approach, or did that enlighten you in any way in how you were pitching them?
It definitely did, since that was the first time I'd ever, met any journalists in person, and people that I had been working with over the phone and emails for months, and then meeting them in person. It just made me realize the importance of developing those relationships and that they are real people that I'm emailing. And it just helps if, like I said, they're receiving all these pitches every day, to have that personal connection and, check in with them, see what they're working on and how you can help, and just always being a great resource for them. So you're both benefiting from that connection, because I think most media people I've met are super nice, and they are usually very, willing to work with you, and they love to chat. So even if there's something that, you're working on that might not be a fit at the moment, just developing those relationships and personalizing your pitches as much as possible. That's really what I got from that event. And it was so cool to see, kind of how I started pitching and then leading all the way up to the event. It was the first time I really got to see something all the way through like that. So that was also an awesome experience. And that's something I talked about all the time in my job interviews. And people were really impressed, because I think with a lot of internships in every industry, interns are kind of just behind the scenes, and they're not really, meeting the media or the journalists. So it was awesome that I got to experience that.
Yeah, I think too, it's like, I remember we had ESPN out there. We had some heavy hitters out there for the one you were promoting. But, it's surprising how friendly and nice journalists are when you meet them in person, because the impression is they seem so mean when
Yeah.
you're pitching them, because they're always on deadline, and sometimes you get hung up on and they're real short with you. But in person, you get to a media event and it's like, is this the same person I was pitching?
Exactly. And I also learned you can never take it to heart if they're saying no or they're not answering you. It's like, it's probably nothing against you. They are super busy. And, you just have to kind of be persistent with it and realize that they're not scary.
I know they seem really scary when you don't see them, but I think definitely going to media events, if you can ever get a chance to do that, helps, or just see how they do their job, because then you really realize, okay, first of all, not only are they super busy, they're usually understaffed, they're the camera person and the interviewer and everything. I've gone to meet up with, I try to meet up with media whenever, it's in the city, or if I'm traveling, with a client, because I want to see, what their day is like. And, I've been to events where they're pulling their own wheelbarrow with all their like camera equipment. They're setting up lighting. They're doing lighting, sound. They don't even have anybody with them to help them with that. And they're the talent. So I think when you're pitching them, it's just keeping in mind that they have a lot of job responsibilities, and a lot of times they're a one-man band on many things. So we're here
Exactly.
to help them. That is our role, is to find ways that we can assist.
Yes, exactly. Just how we can help. And I think they're so appreciative of it too when they find, a good publicist to work with. And I don't think they'll forget it either, because there are so many that, might drop the ball or might not come through for them. But if you're always there to help, then they're going to come back to you if they need something. So,
hmm And just really being prepared. And I know, when you were lining those up, we sent them very detailed bios of everybody and all their social media handles and talking points and suggested questions. And some media may not want that. They might want to do their own, but I find that 99% of the time, they're very appreciative that we at least got it started for them.
oh yeah, they're always appreciative. And, even if we weren't to send that, I feel like they probably would have asked for it the day before anyway. So
And then we'd be scrambling.
yeah, so they always love when you're prepared. And, I think giving them more is the best, even if they don't even look at it.
Are you still doing that when you're lining up things now for clients?
Yes, sending all the talking points. I would say like half my day is spent writing talking points half the time, like bios and pulling images together, and just I
Mhm.
always try to give them more than they're asking for, just because, they are usually on tight deadlines, and, things can change at the drop of a hat. So just getting all that stuff is so important, and they're always very appreciative.
I'm glad you said it takes half the day because it really does take an
Yes.
immense amount of time to pull these things together. People don't realize, but when it's very organized for them, I know that they keep coming back to you because they know that you're. I've always like tried to study producers and journalists more than other PR people because I want to be more like them to help them out. And you're almost really doing the role of what a producer would do, which is pulling together all those facts and background and
Yeah.
multimedia, to go with the story.
Yeah,
Now,
exactly.
you worked with us remote. We've been remote here at Pitch Publicity since 2010, working remotely. And so this is before all the pandemic and trends when Kylie was working here. But now that it's trendy to go remote, or a lot of companies are doing a hybrid or remote, even to save money. Um, do you feel like the skills you acquired when you were here at this internship at Pitch Publicity, did they give you kind of an edge, and are you still finding value today in what you learned from remote work?
Yes, working remote was so valuable, and like you said, it was before the pandemic and everything, so I think that was something I had that was really unique, and it helped me develop that skill of collaborating and communicating, in a virtual setting. So, I know we would pretty much talk every day over the phone and email, and I'm currently hybrid in my role now. So I'm in the office a few days a week and working from home the rest. So it's so important to be able to learn and receive feedback and give feedback just outside of an office setting, and know how to, communicate, whether it's with media or your coworkers. And now I travel quite a bit for my job too. So even if I was, in office every single day, I think someone's always on the go. I'm always kind of working from somewhere else. So it's so nice that I have that skill to manage my time, and I don't need to be, sitting down in an office. And I think it's such a great skill to have, especially now that a lot of companies are remote or hybrid. Um, and it's so important to just also to be a self-starter. And I think that's something that Pitch really taught me, because being in an internship, it's kind of hard to, sit down and be like, okay, what do I need to do today? But with PR, you have to be really proactive and stay on top of everything. So the remote work was a blessing.
What do you feel like are the essentials for thriving in a remote or a hybrid work setup, or even if, like you mentioned, you're traveling and you're on the go, to just make sure that you're continuing to have success, you're collaborating with your team and staying connected to your boss? What are some of the essentials that you focus on?
So I think it's really important to just set up times to catch up with your boss or team. Because especially in PR, everyone's busy, there's meetings and everyone's working on different things, but having just set time, even if it's every week or every day, just to check in and, ask any questions, because I think working remote, you can be more hesitant to, like, oh, I have a question, I'm going to call Amy. But it's like always just communicate even more than you need to, especially at first. And then also creating a routine for working remote, I think has helped me so much just because, getting up and going to an office, it kind of sets you up for your day. But now it's like, I have my little workspace, I get my coffee, go on a walk, and just having that, signal that it's time to start working has really helped me too. And, just getting a little bit ready for the day also always helps. So I'm not sitting around in my pajamas all day.
It's such a nice idea, but it just doesn't get you in the mindset.
Exactly. Maybe some Fridays, so I don't have any calls, I'll be a little more relaxed and I'm doing, just writing where I'm just focused on something. But yeah, most days I need to get up and at least, put on something that's not, my workout clothes or something and, just get ready because you also never know what's going to come up.
Mhm. And do you, when you talk about getting dressed, are you getting dressed as if you were going in the office, or is your dress on remote days not as formal?
I would say it's not as formal, but I've gotten so many like, casual dresses and stuff like that where it's like I could wear it to the office, but it's also, comfortable. I don't feel like I'm, working in like super business formal clothes, but it's just something to, especially if I have calls that I look presentable
At
and
least right here.
yes, at least at
Yoga
least
pants down there if you don't have to get up.
yes,
You can turn your
exactly.
camera off if you have to get up, but at least here look like you're in the office.
Yeah, and it just kind of helps me turn my mind on and, be like, okay, it's time to work now.
So I like that you said to schedule the check-in calls. That's a great tip. Um, to ask questions, even if it's not at a scheduled time. I feel like even just now, outside of work, people feel like they have to schedule something, even like friends to talk. Do you find
Yeah,
that it didn't used to be like that? You would just
I
call,
know.
answer, then no big deal.
And I feel like you really taught me that too, because I feel like a lot of like my generation, like, they're kind of hesitant to pick up the phone, but it makes it so much easier when you're just like, if you have a quick question, to just usually pick up the phone and ask. And it's never a big deal. And it helps so much rather than just going into something and kind of not knowing what you're doing. Or if you're confused about something, just picking up the phone and asking.
Do you find that that strengthens your relationship with your bosses or coworkers when you get more voice time with them?
Yes, I definitely think it does. I'm constantly talking to my boss because she sits in our Tampa office. So, I don't see her all the time. And we just have a really open line of communication, whether it's texting, calling. And she's actually traveling right now too. So it's kind of like, I know we're both busy. It's so much faster to just, pick up the phone and then wait for her to, see an email that it might be way down her inbox. So,
Right. Absolutely. I always tell everyone that works for me, just call me first because
yeah.
I've got hundreds of emails and I am definitely going to miss the email. And, so I kind of give people what my order of preference of getting in touch with me is.
Mhm.
Um, but I like how you say, just do it. Don't be intimidated by it.
Yes.
The
It'll
people
always,
that call me, I definitely feel like a stronger bond with. I feel more connected.
yes, it helps so much, honestly. And that's the best way to learn, I think, too.
So speaking of bond, I remember, I had brought you up to New York a couple times. So there was this one time I remember you were just coming up here for a fun weekend or something. I took you and your friend out to a brunch.
Yes.
We had some non-work related bonding opportunities. Um, for me, being your mentor has been really a rewarding experience. So I love doing things like that when people are like, I'm in town, I'm in New York. But have
That's
you
fun.
established similar mentorship connections with your current boss or managers? And how do you prompt or nurture those relationships?
Yeah. So that was such a fun brunch. I loved that. It was such a great, n- outside of work bonding experience. And obviously, we talked on the phone pretty much every day, but just getting that one-on-one time was so much fun. And I've established these relationships with my coworkers and my boss now. just kind of by, consulting them, asking questions, showing genuine interest, and then, really asking the why behind everything we're doing. Because I think, when you're more senior in your role, you might be, used to things, or it doesn't always occur to people to like explain the why. But when you show that interest and you kind of nurture those relationships, I think it can really pay off. And I'm lucky that I've had, mentors like you and my current boss that are invested in my professional development and want to challenge me and see me grow in my career. So I think that has been such a help too. I'm not just doing the same thing every day. They want me to, grow a little bit and challenge myself and kind of think outside of the box a little bit.
Now, did you have to initiate those relationships more, or are you in an environment where your bosses and managers, or they just kind of naturally gravitated to taking you under their wing?
So my boss really gravitated toward taking me under her wing. So I'm very lucky about that. But I think it's so helpful that, maybe you're their first mentor that they've ever had, or mentee. So I think just showing the interest and reaching out and, kind of being open to help with whatever you can, is so important too, because everyone's busy. And I don't think that means that, they don't want to mentor you or help you. I think it's kind of something that you need to take on yourself sometimes too, if you really want to grow in your profession.
Yeah, that's some good advice, especially for someone that's maybe not in a work environment where mentorship is prioritized, or it may just not be top of mind, like you said. What are some specific ways do you think people could prompt those relationships with their senior leadership if they're not feeling like they're that connected?
Yeah. I think just kind of seeing, what they are working on and how you can help, and then reaching out to others in the industry too. Maybe your senior leaders are super busy at the moment, but you can always, follow them on social, take the extra time to find other people that are in roles you aspire to be in. Check the school alumni networks. Like I know UF has a great one, and I'm always on LinkedIn looking for other people in PR just to connect with them and, um, maybe meet for coffee, just anything you can do to develop those relationships. And even if it's someone that, is more your age or in the same level as you, maybe they have a great mentor too that you can, kind of steal from them and you can all meet up together. So there's so much out there. And I think PR is so broad too. So, people in-house or at agencies, there's so many.
Industries too.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you mentioned someone even younger. I think people don't think about that, but even just someone who's just a couple years ahead of you can be a valuable mentor because they can really give you the specific steps that they took recently. And
Yes.
sometimes when you're older, it's like, I don't remember how I got here. So I don't discount those even coworkers that may just be a few years ahead of you, as well. Now, I remember one of your standout traits, was as we wrap up, I want to make sure I get to this, but at the beginning, I talked about how fast paced we were at the time you were doing your internship with us. I was definitely throwing a lot of things your way. But your calm demeanor stood out to me. I recall moments when I would become super intense and make demands, and you would just simply respond with, okay. And it wasn't like, okay, or like, it was just a very calm, okay. And I remember it instantly diffusing the tension that I felt and just kind of prompted me to go into problem solving mode. And this approach has stuck with me so much that I still use, I call it the Kylie okay technique when I'm faced with like demanding or stressful communications from my clients, even if a client's demanding thing or they're upset about something or they don't know what's going on or they want me to do something and do this and do that, I just respond, okay. And it always diffuses it because I'm not, I'm not coming back with some defensive response, or it's just like, okay, you want me to do that? Okay. Where did you learn that?
So I think I always default in like stressful situations to just focusing on what's important and how you can kind of achieve the end goal. And like the rest can just get figured out later. So I think that's one of the traits I have that definitely has been put to use all the time in my PR career because yeah, so many times clients are coming to us and they come to us to solve their problems. So I think by just diffusing the situation and just handling it the best you can um, is just always the best way to approach the situations. And there's so many moving parts between clients and media and so many problems that can come up every day. And it's so funny. I actually just got that same feedback from a client. We had an event recently and, you know, there was an issue with the hotel reservations. We had media coming in and basically I got it figured out very quickly, thankfully. But our client was like, you really calmed me down, because you were calm and it just puts people at ease. And something about PR is a lot of people don't see what's going on behind the scenes. So, none of the media had any idea there was such an issue. So I feel like if you just remain calm and approach things, sometimes you have to look at the big picture and just how you can get to your end goal. And yeah, I use that every single day.
Yeah, don't let their anxiety cause you anxiety.
Yes. Because if you do, I think in like PR especially, like, it'll never end. So you just have to focus on what's important and, how you can get to where you need to be.
Well, I'm glad to hear that you're still using it because I have totally stole it from you and I use it all the time now. And I also just think sometimes saying less is better. Like just keep your
Yes.
response as simple as possible when someone is upset. And like you said, try to remain calm, even if you were freaking out on the inside. Don't let them see that.
Yes. And I definitely freak out on the inside a lot, but yeah, try to, just kind of put everyone else at ease and then solve the problem. And then, yeah, you can worry about everything else later.
It's almost like, if I'm walking my dog and, someone's coming toward us with like really rowdy dogs and I'm getting nervous and upset, like she senses that and then she's all like growling
Exactly.
and yelling at the other dogs. But if I just stay calm and we walk by them, she's like, okay, well, I'm calm too. So you stay calm, they stay calm.
Yes. People are the same way. They can sense your energy.
Right. Well, this has been so great catching up with you, Kylie. I'm so happy to see that you stayed in school to do PR and you're still doing PR. It's fantastic to see when people can really go follow their dreams and do the job that they want to do. What's the best way for our Pitch Live community to connect with you?
Yeah, so I'm on LinkedIn, Kylie Morgan, and then I'm on Instagram too, Kylie Morgan, but the O is a 0 because someone took my actual name, so I had to get creative. But yeah, feel free to follow me, and I'm always happy to connect with anyone and answer questions. So
Well, thank you so much, Kylie, for joining us today. I know so many people will be inspired by your career journey. And please share this episode that we have with Kylie and get more people exposed to her experience and everything that she's doing. We will put all of those links that she just mentioned in the show notes. And thank you for joining us on this episode of Pitch Live with Amy Summers. Be sure to hit that subscribe button and give us a rating or review. Your feedback helps us plan future episodes. I hope you were inspired and encouraged today to just get out there, pitch, be an advocate for yourself, and make success happen. As a bonus, join us at inisivox.com where you can get motivated, hone your communication skills, and then just much mentorship as you want whenever you need it. The link will be in the show notes, along with all of my contact information and Kylie's. Until next time, Kylie, just keep making success happen.
you can see me.
Bye.